We need to talk about Director X.
Mm.
Well, he's desperate for attention because, quite frankly, when your show's only getting 130,000 people tuning in, which is good for 69th that night, that's what the show's ratings are at. The second episode lost about half of its audience from the first episode. It's sitting there at about 130,000 people that tuned into global TV on October 4th, which was the second night, the second episode of Robin Hood. That would be one thing. But when the people that are tuning in also despise it, well, that does not spell well for your future, at least the future of Robin in the Hood. And as we saw, it did set a record-breaking show Robin Hood, the worst IMDb rating we've seen in history.
Wow.
This is pathetically bad. This is disastrous. This is something I've never seen before, and I didn't even think it was actually possible. But here we are, a 1.0 out of 10 for Robin Hood. And like I said, thanks to Az to get the ratings, 69th in the country for that night. 139,000 people tuning in to watch Robin Hood on global TV. Pathetic failure. And for some reason, in modern day entertainment industry, people can't just accept that maybe they made something bad. That fucking happens, right? Things don't go well.
Yeah.
You thought you had a vision. People got it, like, whatever. Sometimes bad shit gets made. But for some reason, no one can admit that anymore. It always has to be, well, there's some excuse. Has to be this, has to be that. The fans said this. YouTubers said that. That's why people don't like my show and it's a failure. And of course, we've seen Director X a couple times blame racism. Well, now, since he hasn't got the attention from the YouTubers that he's been begging for because they're all getting more interaction than he is on his show, he's decided to run to the mainstream media, to City News. I think City News Toronto specifically for this story. Director X, Toronto director, calls out comments on his new take on the Robin Hood story. Should we listen, Jay? You make an appearance on Canadian national television.
I'm honored.
Up some controversy. Directed by Canadian filmmaker Director X, Robin Hood tells the story of legendary heroic outlaw Robin Hood with a modern-day twist.
This time they live at the corner of Sherwood and Forest. It's the sheriff of New Nottingham and John Prince. And, you know, they live in a public housing, and John Prince wants to buy it and tear it down, and they don't want to leave.
Director X.
Just to be clear, this time a modern audience means we're going to race swap, we're going to gender swap, we're going to make Robin Hood bisexual. Every single protagonist is going to be a person of color, and the villains are white. That's what
I haven't even seen the teaser trailer for the show.
I mean, it's again, it's on global TV. All you need to do is, VPN to say you're from Canada, and you can watch it. But oof, here we go.
X says the new tale of the English folklore has been receiving some negative feedback online.
The moment they heard Robin Hood was going to be a woman and black and bisexual, they immediately hated it. From the moment we announced production, lately there's been a lot of anger over gender swapping, race swapping, and, it's like the Little Mermaid.
I think this is actually an interesting point that he makes.
I'm angry.
We can get to.
Like, all this stuff is big, and why are you changing stuff, right? And I never felt that way with Robin Hood. I didn't feel like I was taking like a recent character, right? Robin Hood has been interpreted a million different ways. So, all right, what about this? What if we did a modern Robin Hood and spell it with a Y? Oh, that's cute. All right, let's do that. But in their mind, this could only be more woke agenda.
Now, I actually do think that that's an interesting discussion point, right? I agree that an adaptation of Robin Hood is not like race swapping Little Mermaid. It's not like a race swapping Luke Skywalker. It's not like that, right? We have seen 100 different interpretations of Robin Hood. Now, most of them have been kind of along a similar vein, but it's one thing to say, hey, we're doing this adaptation of Robin Hood. When you make every single thing the most stereotypical thing you possibly could about like black culture, and then the villains happen to be white, it's about more than just an adaptation. I think that's obvious for the people that have watched it, at least through the first couple episodes.
Absolutely.
Because again, it would be one thing. I totally agree with that. And I get why there's a lot more, why there would be a lot less hesitation to do an adaptation of Robin Hood than say something like a very established character that we've only seen one certain way.
Yeah. And
with all being said, it doesn't excuse all this shit.
Right. There has been female Robin Hood adaptations before in comic books and things like that. So, but this was just clearly to pin this as a modern day adaptation. It's like you're really painting a picture that of stereotypical things.
The first scene in the first episode, they film themselves committing crimes. They trespass and they film themselves.
Wow.
That's what a modern audience wants, apparently. But anyway, we'll keep going.
More woke agenda.
The director claims the series is being rating bombed and has taken to social media to
You
address
ready,
these
Jay?
videos and call out some of these content creators.
Literally everybody hates this trash fire of a show, and the reason why is because of
My Down syndrome face.
It all comes back to identity politics.
So it's Jeremy talking. Who has this
Meta
fucking-
PC, shout out.
Shout out Meta PCs. You're getting a lot of traction because of this hat on Jay's face as he just listens to Jeremy. Jeremy, who hasn't fucking watched the show, hasn't even made a goddamn video about it. This probably got clipped on a Geeks and Gamers clips or something. Jeremy's the one who gets on City News Toronto to talk about identity politics. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Since they perceive this to be identity politics, they've done this to the IMDb rating. There is a 1.1 out of 10, 2.3 thousand people have voted, 2,000 of them have given it a 1.
My comments are filled with people saying all kinds of really bad racist things, right? There's racism involved. But that makes them say, oh, you're calling us all racist. No, but there's racism involved. We can have an adult conversation about what's going on.
So what's next?
You know, I thought that was interesting. He says all through my comments is a bunch of racist shit. You know, I went through there and there's one or two things that are probably, probably not right. Probably like you wouldn't want to fucking say that. It's a little bit embarrassing. But also within 5 minutes of scrolling through one of his videos, man, I found a lot of people who were talking about white people. This is weird. Yeah, so I need to watch this show to see what's up because all I see is white peopling. Saying something is only about race, but everybody commenting about race. Crazy. Your dumb bitch ass literally is commenting about race.
What is white peopling?
Exactly. I want him to define it. I'm sure it's a very positive thing, right? White peopling. Well, there you go. They have to go looking for in a nutshell. God, it's always white folk. Like you, Julie, my kids are mixed. They see and hear this crap all the time, and it's always their white friends. Can't even spell out white, just YT, right? You can probably use that abbreviation a lot. Are these blowhards American? What about this one? Fragile white men with a platform dispute, pseudo-intellectual BS, disguise their hatred for the fact they don't control the narratives anymore. That's all, folks. Fuck them, X. What about this one? This is the definition of honkies. So the guy who's claiming fucking racism, right? This guy say there's a lot of racist shit in my comments. I scroll for 5 minutes through one video and you find derogatory terms for white people. You find people of color bitching about white people. It's always white people. It's always white people. I don't think that all of your fucking followers are racist. I don't blame any dislike I might get on a video on your followers being racist, some of this bullshit. Just how it is on the internet. You're going to find that. You're going to find some of that on one side. You're going to find some on the other side. But that's all it takes is 5 minutes scroll through your comment section. You're the one who's claiming fucking racism is the reason that this is happening. Yet in your own comment section, you got people that are saying derogatory shit about white people. Oh, and by the way, the one place I can find evidence of people encouraging people to review bomb a show, also in your comments section. I urge people to not only support in the comments here, but go to IMDb and rate the show highly to counter this racist shit. I just did it, and it only took me 2 seconds. That's the only evidence we have of people advocating review bombing, people supporting the show in his comments.
I don't remember.
Weird how that works, isn't it, Jay?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anybody like who reviewed or talked about it saying, please go to IMDb and give it poor ratings. Basically, people that have watched the show have laughed at it because of how terrible it is. The issue is, and he's wondering why we call this stuff out, is because anytime somebody puts out a horrific show and nobody likes it, the directors or creators or whoever cries racism. This is way back when with Seth Rogen, when he made Santa Inc. All right. That show stupid. It sucked. Nobody liked it. And his response was, we really pissed off tens of thousands of white supremacists with our new show, Santa Inc., which is now available on HBO Max. Please read the response to this tweet for confirmation. So it's like, I mean, it's just a constant trend with people in Hollywood. And this is just one example of many. Maybe he needs to understand stuff like that. Seth Rogen is not a person of color. But he made pretty much the exact same statement. So,
and what he desperately wants, he's had to go to mainstream media to beg to get on YouTubers' platforms, right? Because he wants to have a conversation, take one thing that one person says in a chat and say, look, I told you, this is the racist shit that's happening. It's really fucking sad and pathetic. Like, there's a reason he wants on YouTubers' channels. It's because we're getting more views on our videos than he's getting on his entire fucking series. 139,000 viewers. That is miserably bad. I get more than that each and every day on my YouTube channel. And we do know a lot of people have actually reached out. Smaller content creators have reached out to him and asked for this and asked for that. And he seems to ghost them. He wants on the big platform specifically. That's weird, isn't it? I knew about this beforehand. He and Az had been talking. They'd been talking in DMs. They've been doing this thing. They were trying to get him to come on and have an actual conversation about this. That was in the works. It was basically set up and ready to go. And then he made the first video saying that, well, it's just racist that are review bombing this because of what these people said on YouTube. So the moment you know it's disingenuous as fuck, there's no actual attempt there, right? It's just a guy who's looking to blame someone else for the failure of his show. And that's what we continue to see in modern day entertainment industry. And to the point where you're running to the mainstream media to beg to talk to YouTubers. That's the power dynamics at play here. Keep in mind, there's also a guy who's 300,000 followers on Instagram.